good morning. Can you please hear me? Can you see my screen?
Yes. You can see your screen, so all is perfect.
Fantastic. Yes. So today's topic, we're going to talk about leading at your best. We will take a look at the link between health, energy, and decision making. We don't know that these are interconnected, but we're going to what makes it so impactful for you as a leader. To help us in this discussion, we will just have a brief introduction and talk about leadership a bit, health, energy, decision making, and of course how they are interconnected. I will talk about that at every point in the discussion, and then why it matters and some steps you can start taking today. Before then, I wanted to ask you a question, right? Have you wondered why some days you enter your home or your boardroom or wherever it is that you lead and you are full of energy, you have a bounce to you, you're magnetic, and your decisions are sharp, But on other days you come in, decisions feel heavy, you're not at your best. You even feel it, and the people around you kind of feel your energy is off. You might even snap at your workers or your kids. If you're married, you can even, snap at your significant other. All of this is the same person, maybe the same situation in the office, but you're a different kind of leader because you're not functioning at your best. Okay? This is what we're going to talk about today. Another question I want you to think about and maybe make a note wherever you are is, yesterday, what are the 3 major decisions you made yesterday? If you can't remember what these decisions are, what did you do? How did you feel? What was the outcome of that decision? And did you feel that you made it at your best? Because some of us make decisions and then after you think, gosh, what was I thinking? Right? You start regretting the decisions that you made. But you are the person that also can and have the capacity to make high quality decisions when you feel your best. So to talk on this, I would take us through what we call the leader performance chain. Every link is health dependent. You can't take one and throw away the other, right? Health is very important. Your energy is super important. Your cognitive capacity as a leader is important. Guess what? Because that is where decision making comes from. Your ability to regulate, strategize, plan, and do a lot comes from your prefrontal cortex. Again, the decision that you make is what makes you a leader. And it's all these things that work in tandem to ensure we as leaders are making the right decision. So again, I love asking myself questions. Am I protecting my health? Am I sleeping optimally? You can ask yourself the same question. When was the last time you had over 6 hours of sleep, right? Again, studies recommend 7 to 9 hours. But when was the last time you had at least 6 hours of sleep? Your energy, you see, energy is super important for a leader, much more important than strategy. It is physiologic, but for leadership, your energy is super important. We'll see why as we continue. Do I have fuel to lead fully? Super important. You need to refuel yourself as a leader. Now, for cognitive capacity, is my prefrontal cortex performing optimally? Most of us perform at 60% of capacity, some even lesser. Why? And you think it doesn't affect the way you show up at home, at work, the way you perform. It affects everything that you do as a leader. Okay? Quality of the decisions you're making. Am I making decisions at my best? Is my organization performing optimally because of all these things? They all impact on your ability to lead, the culture you're setting. People soak up on your energy as a leader. Okay? Super important. Now, looking at a leader, I know everyone here understands who is a leader. Okay? He's a visionary, he's a servant. Whether you're at home or organization, you lead, you coach, you're a change agent, more like. Now, for leadership, is your ability to influence people to think, feel, and do or act. True, of course, how you show up. But when you're sick or when you're stressed out, and your cognitive capacity is maxed out, you're worn out as a leader, your ability to influence them diminishes. Now, what about your vision, your service, growth? All of these things is what a leader should do. And your health and your energy impacts your ability to show up across all this. So this is what I want us to begin to have at the back of our mind today. You can be a leader, whether you're at home, in the office, whether you're leading a small organization of 5 people or you're leading a corporation. It doesn't matter. You make decisions. The size of the decision, yeah, it can affect the impact, but every decision matters because the people around you can lose trust on you as a leader. Your performance goes down. You're not able to be as productive as you otherwise would be. For organizations, when a leader is not able to affect culture, performance, innovation, and retention, it becomes a problem. A leader who is chronically stressed out, whose energy is always down, would affect all these 4 areas and more. The same at home. Who are you showing up as? How is your emotions? Do people feel a sense of psychological safety around you? Are you upholding your values? What legacy are you setting? All this you cannot do as a leader if you are not paying attention to your health and your energy, right? And of course, these 2 things affect the decision quality that you make. Now, for a leader, your health is super important as your body becomes your greatest asset. You want to protect it. You have to sleep. You have to nourish your body. Studies have shown that people who eat diets that are rich in protein have increased cerebral blood flow, and that encourages or that helps the prefrontal cortex, which is where you do a lot of the heavy lifting as a leader. Movement. Are you exercising? Of course, I know people are of different age. You might have some comorbidities and all of that. But it is essential that you incorporate movement in your daily life. However long that is, however intensity you can afford to do, is super important. Recovery time is important. Before, just a short story, before, I used to think that being the best leader, because of course I work in healthcare, and if you know, healthcare comes with long hours of intense work. You're dealing with people, their emotions are all over the place, and you're managing them and your emotions. So initially, many years ago, I used to think that to be a great leader means that my calendar is booked back to back. I'm showing up for everyone. I'm making every tiny decision to the very, thought-provoking decision that drives the business forward and all of that. I thought that meant, I'm wearing the badge of exhaustion seriously and I'm a Dr. P, hard worker. No, you're burning out. You're not at your best when your team, your partner, your children need you. That's not what it means to be a leader. And that's what I'm trying to get us to understand today. You need to take care of your mental health. And to do that, you have to avoid stress. Many years ago, we were preaching reducing stress by, exercising, eating well, sleeping well, mindfulness practices, yoga, and all of that. But these days, I say, avoid it. If you're a leader, there are several ways that you can reduce your stress levels. Of course, I won't go into all of that today, but you can start from prioritizing. Have a hierarchy of your decision making. You need to delegate on so many others. Okay? Emotional health is very important. If you're a leader and you cannot regulate your emotions, it becomes very difficult because people will be so uncomfortable around you. You're going up and down, you're snapping, you're shouting, every small stress wears you out. You can't function under pressure without losing your mind. These things show up in the quality of work that you do, the quality of your decisions. Okay. Now, social health is super important. Studies have shown that the quality of the relationships you have in your life impacts on how you show up. Think about it. Let's say you're a CEO and you're going through a terrible divorce with huge payouts, prenups, and all of that, and you're coming to meetings. How do you think that CEO will show up? Even if he is very good at pretense or very good at managing his emotions, he will still not be optimum. And I'll tell you that for a fact. He will not be optimum, okay? The same, purpose. What drives what you do? Now, I want us to think about energy as a tank or a battery, your phones, right? Sometimes it runs on full capacity. You're fully charged, right? You're performing at your peak, you're thinking sharply, you're making decisions. Your reactive time is fast, right? You're influencing people, you're able to emotionally regulate because it requires energy. Strategic thinking requires energy as well. You can do all this maximally when you're at your full capacity in terms of energy. Compare that to when you're very low on energy. Let's say you're chronically stressed, you're sleep deprived, right? Your reactive time goes down. Absolutely. The quality of your decision, where it changes. And your ability to perform like tasks that requires critical thinking is affected negatively. This affects every area of your performance or your executive function as a leader. Now, let's look at the forms of energy that I want us to think about. You have the physical, which deals with the body. Then you have the emotional and you have the mental. And lastly, you have the spiritual or the purpose. Now, all these four forms of energy can decide how you show up. If you're at your peak, if you're functioning optimally, or if you're showing up tired, exhausted, and all of that. Now, physical energy, we've talked about that when I talked about the leader's health, the sleep. You see, studies. I attached some articles at the end in the reference list that will guide you. You can take a deep dive to understand more. But sleep alone affects how you show up. Your error rates go up. Your reactive time goes down. The prefrontal cortex is not able to think and function as optimally as it would have otherwise if you had slept adequately. The same thing with nutrition. If you don't nourish your body well, guess what? The brain functions on glucose. And that is the fuel that the body runs on. And that's what drives your movement, your energy, your decision, your processing, and all of that. It's super important that you fuel your body properly. Same movement, recovery time. See, if you don't schedule recovery into your day, it will show up on it will be obvious on how you show up. You might not see it if you're not if you're not quite self-aware, but people around you begin to pick up on how you are responding, reacting, slouching, and all of that. Again, recovery. You might not have the luxury of scheduling a week to rest and, go on a beach and think about so many things, journal and do all of that. But every day during your day, have time when you can snap out of whatever it is, 30 minutes, water, resting, movement, right? Another 1 hour by the end of the day, move around, listen to music, shut your eye, do something else before the night. A leader who is able to plug in time for recovery guess what? When you're needed, you're recharged. When you're needed, you're much more optimum and refreshed versus someone who is everly there doing, right? Now, let's look at the emotional energy. Self-awareness is super important. If you're someone and you're not able to perceive what's going on internally, you won't be able to know when you're not functioning at your best as a leader. Because guess what? Your team might not be able to tell you, and it might become late because it will show up in your decisions and the quality, of those decisions. And then it corrodes trust with partners, relationship, workers, and your managers. It's super important. Self-awareness. Now, empathy, super important. It builds loyalty and trust. Positivity, very important. Again, your emotional agility, of course, this is not built overnight. It's from years of learning how to regulate your emotions. Every leader should work on having that. Regulate your emotions, of course, being self-aware and then being able to manage it and manage that of others. It makes you a better leader. Emotional intelligence. Now, for mental health, focus is super important. And your prefrontal cortex helps you do all of the deep work, decisions, and mindfulness also helps you with your meditation, with your mental health. All this is super important. Schedule the decisions you can make in a day. You are not an infinite resource, right? Your energy is not infinite. It goes down. We function optimally in the mornings. You can see me full of energy. By the evening, in fact, I'm down. I'm not smiling that much. My voice goes down. It's natural. We run out. Now, making decisions when you're fatigued is terrible. And there is something called decision fatigue. But I would like us as leaders to schedule, make the high intensity or the decisions that are moving your company forward more in the mornings, and very low hanging fruit decisions in the evening or later in the day if you must, or delegate it. Okay. Now, spiritual energy is super important. Are you purpose driven? A leader who is purpose driven has that sense of drive. Your energy is up and you have the ability to even take care of your health because you want to show up for what you believe in. Same thing with values alignment. Think about it. If you're working on something and your values is not aligned, internally your energy wouldn't feel right, right? Again, the meaning. What meaning did you put to the work that you do? Gratitude also helps your energy come up. Now, what fuels you versus what empties you? Remember I talked about energy as not being finite. It can empty. But a good leader understands the importance of fueling himself and avoiding things that drain his energy. From quality sleep, physical movement, prayer, reflection, deep and good quality or positive relationships, focus, deep work, and some form of joy. These increase your energy. So you want to schedule times between the day that you get to do more of this a little bit. What drains your energy? If you're losing sleep, just a little, as a day that you slept less than 6 hours shows up in the judgment that you make. Honestly, there are research that compares your decision making and how you show up with someone who is drunk on alcohol. I'm telling you, research, right? So we should check that out. Toxic conflict, avoid it or manage it. Decision overload. You're not doing yourself any good or any justice by taking up every decision making. This is why you need to train leaders or managers that are capable to make decisions. And you trust them because you have trained them or they have the capacity to do so. Empower them to do that. And you finalize the decisions that are important for the organizations and that move the business forward. The same thing, always feeling busy is not what you need. no recovery time, terrible, and you haven't purpose, disconnect. Now, why is energy important? I think we've talked about this a bit. Energy is your capacity to perform physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It fuels everything that you do. In fact, for people that are married and have children, even your kids, they can sense when your energy is up. They can sense when your energy is down. And the same thing with your team. They soak up on these things and it affects everything that we do as a leader. Okay? A leader that has full of energy thinks clearly, your cognitive function is sharper. You have much more clarity in what you do. Your reactive time is higher, right? And a lot more. Again, we have to guide our energy. I've talked about it not being finite. So schedule times when you do certain things and don't leave your calendar full for everyone to schedule things and take up your space. Protect your energy. Okay. Now, when a leader runs on empty, right? When your energy is low, you're not recharging, you're not scheduling recovery time. It affects quality of decisions, your communications that have leaders that are not taking good care of themselves. You see retention rates drops, engagement drops. People leave the organizations more because they can't rely on the leader. The quality of his decisions are terrible. The outcomes are not good for the organizations. And many more, especially psychological safety is lost. They don't trust you, right? Strategic thinking is impaired. You're stressed out. It shows up. Performance drops. Now, for us as leaders, I want you to think about, yeah.
Dr. Webb, may I ask you to close because we're running out of time?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes. For you as a leader, executive functions that you have to think about is inhibitory control. When your energy is down, you're not healthy or you're stressed out, it affects all these functions, your working memory, cognitive, planning, decision making, and all of that. Your ability to self-monitor goes down as well. Now, I want you to think about the prefrontal cortex. It is what we use as leaders to make executive functions, to make sound decisions, to emotionally regulate, for empathy, and to drive purpose. So protect your prefrontal cortex very well by sleeping, by being healthy. 3 things every leader should leave from this meeting in order to be at their best. Your energy is what drives you. You need clarity and you need regulation. Super important. A whole leader is someone who ensures their health and their energy are optimal because they understand how it impacts on their decision making. Okay. Now, the question is, which dimension are you leading from today? And what is affecting you in terms of, your whole conversations that we have had today? What are my takeaways? I want you to schedule time to sleep, please. It's not negotiable. Protect your sleep. Audit regularly. Like I asked the question at the beginning, what decisions did I make yesterday? How was my energy? How did I show up? Write your leadership why. This is about purpose, right? Move. Habit of reflection. I've talked about that. And decision, make them in the morning. Your prefrontal cortex is what assists you to do that. Now, for businesses, of course, a leader who's at his best drives productivity, revenue, decision quality, team culture, and organizational health. Lastly, again, I love questions. How many decisions have you been making lately on an empty tank? Think about that. Now, there's a study done with surgeons. They were given a high precision task to do, but 2 different times. One after they have had adequate sleep, second after they had 24 hours without sleep. And studies show that their error rates, surgeons, went up. Their reactive time drops, and their ability to be clear was significantly different. And the funny thing was that they did not recognize it. It wasn't obvious to them. And that is very, very dangerous because we deal with vulnerable people, people's lives are at risk. But even you as a leader, whether you're in the hospital, at home, or in the organization, making decisions for hiring, firing, revenue reviews, right? Expansion decisions. How are you in terms of your energy, your health? Are you making decision in the right frame of mind? Thank you so much, everyone. And I hope you have enjoyed the session. Thank you so much.
Very much so, very inspiring. So thank you for those beautiful words. Let's quickly get over to Babarinde for the reflection on this.
Okay, thank you, Toyn. And wonderful presentation, Dr. Mbanefo. I think you've spoke extensively on the link, really. And you've made my job a lot easier to reflect on what you've said. And wonderful presentation, good statistics to back it up. So I'll be reflecting on your presentation in 4 big buckets. One around the foundation of performance, why decision quality fails, the 4 pillars of energy, the business imperative, and I'll be concluding with some recommendations for us to drive home the point, really. And thank you. Like I said, you asked some very germane questions at the beginning of your presentations, and if I recall clearly, one was around, you give a scenario why someone will come in tired, would snap at loved ones and all of that. Well, maybe I can reflect a bit on that. Leadership is often defined by external actions, really around strategy, influence, and the result. However, the true infrastructure of leadership is internal. It's really what you carry. And as leaders, we must recognize that we cannot outsource our prefrontal cortex. You've mentioned the prefrontal cortex. We cannot outsource that. And that's the part of the brain responsible for every high-level function we rely on to lead, which is very obvious. Thank you for re-emphasizing that. You also mentioned the leader performance chain. There is an unbreakable leader performance chain. Our health drives our energy, whether we like it or not. And this determines our cognitive capacity, which ultimately dictates the quality of our decisions and organizational outcomes. That we need to be very, very cognizant about. If any link in this chain is broken by neglect, our performance is inevitably degrades, so that is very clear from your presentation. The other big bucket I would like to look at is why decision quality fails. Because the brain is on empty. When we run on empty, we aren't just tired. Our brain chemistry changes. There's also this part of the brain, the amygdala takeover. In a depleted state, the amygdala, that's the brain thread for sensor, is hijacked. It hijacks our choices. Instead of leading with vision, we lead from fear and reactivity. And, you can't make the best out of that. Look. And the other one is executive function delay. We lose inhibitory control, leading to sharp tones and poor restraints. You see a leader snap at, a given time. Your planning shrinks from long-term strategy to simply fighting today's fires. You are reactive and not, proactive. And Dr. Mbanefo mentioned repeatedly over and over the sleep debt. Chronic sleep loss is a silent killer of judgment. Senior leaders who sleep less than 6 hours, and this accounts for about 68% of leaders worldwide, operate with a level of impairment similar to, she mentioned this too, and I don't know if we all caught it, alcohol. Conversely, a leader at full capacity is 50% more likely to make better decisions than a tired leader. The second bucket I would like to reflect on, she talked about energy, the 4 pillars of energy. Leading at our best requires managing energy, not just time. And energy is a finite resource that depletes without internal renewal. We must guard these 4 specific dimensions. Physical, number 1. You must sleep 7 to 9 hours. Nutrition as fuel and movement to active brain function. She mentioned something around glucose, the brain using glucose as a fuel to drive activity. It'll be surprising to know, and it's a fact physiologically, that the brain uses the fuel glucose as glucose. It's one of probably the only organ in the body that does not metabolize glucose into another form. It uses glucose as glucose for fuel. So you need that to really push for. And how do you regather that? Is when you sleep well. The second pillar is emotional. You must develop self-awareness to prevent reactivity and empathy to build trust. The third one is mental health. Yes, she mentioned that. Avoiding decision fatigue by protecting deep focus over shallow multitasking. A lot of the people want to do 10, 20 things at the same time. It doesn't bring out the best in you, whether you like it or you don't. It's a fact. Then the fourth pillar of energy, which you mentioned, spiritual. You must stay connected to a why or a purpose. And this acts as a renewal fuel source when you are under pressure. Some people know how to refuel spiritually. You must connect to a why or a purpose. The third bucket is the business imperative. Prioritizing your health is not a personal luxury, please. It is a business imperative. The data is clear on that. Productivity, engaged leaders with high well-being drives 21% higher team productivity. I have managed team. I know what that means. And I'm still managing a team. So you need to really, for business imperative. Secondly, for revenue, strong leadership decision doubles the chance of achieving above average revenue all the time. Thirdly, retention. Trusted leaders can drive 40% lower staff turnover, whereas 79% of employees quit bosses and not companies. So the way you show up, the kind of energy you bring in affects the outcomes of your businesses. And this is very important too. And the fourth priority under business imperative is culture. A leader's emotional state directly shapes 70% of the team's climate and the culture itself. So it's very important. We understand that prioritizing your health is not a priority. It's not a personal luxury, rather. It is a business imperative. I want to conclude by, proposing from what Dr. Mbanefo has said, some action plans for us. The most powerful thing a leader can do today is decide to lead themselves first. And I want to challenge you to take these immediate steps. Number one, protect your sleep. Even if it sounds so simple, protect your sleep. Commit to 7 to 8 hours tonight to allow your body to repair well. Secondly, she mentioned it to audit your energy. Rate your physical and mental levels on a scale of 1 to 10 every morning when you wake up. And thirdly, eat the frog if you can. Tackle your most critical decisions before 11 a.m. in the morning, before decision fatigue sets in. And I want us to think about your own fuel gauge right now. How many critical decisions have you been making lately on an empty tank? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Babarinde. Let's switch over to Paul with a small poll. Paul, can you come in?
Yes, okay, thank you, everyone. We have just a poll that we would like to do for just 3 minutes. Please kindly help us to fill this poll. We would like to get to know the value and the impact that the Good Morning BSN session is having. So the poll is up right now. Please kindly let us fill it in the next 3 minutes before we go into the question and answer for today. Thank you. Please, I hope you can all see the poll. I want to believe you can see it.
You can see the poll, but I can't answer the questions, I think.
You can't answer. Oh, because you are.
I click on them, but yeah.
Click on it.
Likewise here, I can't click on it too.
Okay.
Okay, I think because you guys are part of the
Okay,
it's because you're part of the presenters. That's all. Yeah,
so
Oh,
others are
Okay.
clicking. That's
so others,
good.
yes, others can click. So
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
yeah, people are already responding. So we have 2 minutes more. Can you let us fill the poll? Thank you for those who have responded.
okay. Let me ask the one question that is in between time, Paul.
Okay,
So
sir.
we can wait on the answers to come in between.
Good.
The one question that has come in to the Q&A button is that everybody's doing their best to uphold their energy, but then suddenly a family member falls critically ill, can't sleep, and you have to take care of that person all night. So you are kind of tired in the morning. What can you do? So that's the big question at hand. Perhaps Perpetua or Babarinde has an answer to that.
Yeah. So when it comes to family, of course, no one can tell you not to take care of your loved ones. Even I myself take care of sick patients at times, and that impacts on my sleep. And I'm unable to get a full night's sleep that particular day. So what I would say is this: typically, a state of acute condition might not be terrible, but if this is sickness that would take a while, please ask for help. Let other family members come and rotate, because you definitely need to take care of your loved ones. If you do have the funds to get an assistance or a caregiver, let someone assist you, okay? But your loved one needs your attention, unfortunately, and you just have to assist them. But figure out how to balance that and get the help that you need, so that you're getting some shut eye in between being available for those that need you, okay? It's the same thing for mothers. When your child is ill, you have no option. There are some things you can't delegate, unfortunately. Yeah.
That's how it is. Thank you for this answer. And that's the only question we could take. Paul, would you like to come back to your poll? I see that you have.
Okay. Yes, I will just end the poll and uh, okay. All right, thank you everyone for helping us to fill this poll. I think we got 31% participation in the poll. Do I share the results? Okay, we'll get the results. Let me share the results. I think we can all see. So we have as the Good Morning BSN webinar added value for the first question, we had yes, 87% says the Good Morning BSN has added value. For the second question, on the scale, how will you rate the overall value of the Good Morning BSN webinar? I think 30% of us rated it 8 out of 10. What's for the long answer questions? We'll just get that one at the back. Thank you very much. Over to you, Time.
Much, Paul. I would, at this moment in time, like to thank our presenter and moderator. Thank you so much, Perpetua and Reflector. There's a lot of compliments coming in over the chat room. And the last one is kind of interesting because that's something I felt, and that is that it's a really great presentation about the underexposed aspect of leadership. So thank you all for that. Wish you a nice day. I hope to see you all back next Tuesday when our 115th episode of Good Morning BSN is coming in. See you back then. For now, have a great day and try to apply the knowledge that you've just gained from our dear Dr. M. Babarinde. Thank you so much.